Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for inviting me to speak today on what corporate and foundation relations can do for you. My name is Roberta Flores. I'm the Director of Corporate and Foundation Relations. I've been working with Gabby closely on BLI granting opportunities for quite a few years, yeah. So I'm just letting you know we're here to help you with grants, gifts, and sometimes determining what qualifies as a grant, gift, or a contract. That's always a fun discussion. We'll have that later. But yeah, that's what we're going to talk about today. Feel free to stop me with any questions. It's probably not going to be more than 10 or 15 minutes. So what can we really do for you? Those 4 areas on the screen are areas in which we have the expertise to help you identify, manage, assist, and steward your grant opportunities. So the first one on the list, I want you to know that our department is instrumental in all of those areas up there. We handle prospect identification, so we'll find foundations or grant opportunities that will most closely align with the areas of research that you're studying, okay? And we also kind of manage and steward the whole gift process. Now, I know a lot of you in here are already very well versed in how to do your own grants, especially when we're talking about NIH and NSF grants. My department handles private and corporate foundations, so we don't do any government agency stuff. You can still work with Office of Research for that. But when I do my funding identification searches for you, if I find a government agency that has one that fits you very well, I'll throw it in that search so that you can just work with them directly. So let's see, what else do we do? Anyway, so we're going to go more in depth on what all 4 of those areas mean. So the first thing that we do is we manage that relationship between UCI and private funding sources. We're usually the first line of communication between the university and these foundations. And most of the time, we will have been working with those foundations for many years, like Nicholas Endowment, like Chan Zuckerberg. We have on our team, not just me, but we have other development officers who are very experienced in dealing with those foundations and can offer you a level of expertise in what's going on behind the scenes, and board members have changed, and oftentimes if the foundation has switched focus, it happens sometimes, you know. Let's see, so if by chance we don't have a relationship with a foundation that you're interested in, we will work to find ways to connect with them, or we will talk with you more about your connections, your links, and to kind of exploit those links to get you over there. We can't guarantee that that's going to be successful every time, because foundations don't actually work like individual donors. We can't just call them up and say, hey, I've got this really cool project. Do you want to meet with me next week? It doesn't work that way. But sometimes if we have a board member that we know, we can contact them, or if you know someone who works at the company who can do like matching or something like that, we can kind of use that relationship to get in and help you get seen. When it comes to working with different schools and units on campus, which I know BLI is all about that, we have good relationships with these schools and units. Marianne Smith, she has a PhD, she's on our team. She works with most of the hard sciences. We're talking biosci, physical sciences, those kinds of things. I work pretty much everywhere, so I have my fingers in a lot of places. But we have people who are dedicated to just the hard sciences or engineering. If I don't have a connection with engineering, I know either Marianne or Roxanne Ford, who is our executive director, she might have the connections there that you need. So let's go to the next slide. And then, so how do you find these funding opportunities? A lot of times the researcher will come and say, I have this project and it's kind of weird, can you find funding for me? So how do we go about finding those opportunities for you? We use a lot of means. You would come to me or to my colleagues and you would say, to run the search. And there are many different databases that we use. Pivot is one of them. I'll talk more about it later. It is available on the Office of Research's website and through the library. As long as you have a UCI email address, you can sign up, complete your profile, and you can save searches using keywords about your research. You can track opportunities. You can get alerts. Every Sunday I get an alert about what's new or what's out there, only for requests for proposals. So, but that, it runs the gamut. Government agencies and private foundations and all kinds of other things. We'll talk about it later. But that's the main source of these opportunities for us. So once you would meet with me, I would run the search. We could meet again to talk about the opportunities that I found for you and if any of them are viable. And that's how we go through that process. We also kind of examine what a particular funder's relationship is with the university. So say you wanted to go with, Chan Zuckerberg. Okay, well, that's a lot of money, but have they given you to UCI? Well, yeah, we have the databases in place to show you how long they've been giving to us, in which areas, what they funded last year, and how much, and if your project is already in line with what they're looking for. So after you find something you like and you're like, okay, let's move on, let's apply. We assist you and we coach you through the entire grant process. We will help you set up the online application. Sometimes it's daunting and sometimes those online forms are very complicated. We can walk you through that. We can do it for you, okay? We also edit and advise on your proposal writing. Now that's kind of a big service that we provide and one that is actually pretty well sought after on campus. As I said, I know that most of you are, you've done it before, so you know how to do it, and that's okay. I'm perfectly fine handing an opportunity to you and say, go for it, let me know when you submit it, But in case you don't understand, something looks weird, or the verbiage is just, it's not making sense, then we're there to help you. If you want to make sure that your idea is really coming across in line with the guidelines for the foundation, we'll help you ascertain that as well. We can coordinate site visits. Oftentimes what happens is you submit a concept paper or an application and the foundation is like, I like your work, I want to come see it in action. So we help you set those up too. I know it's going to be kind of a lot of work because, the foundation, we want to meet many of the researchers in their team, so we have to coordinate schedules, catering, parking, the whole nine yards. We're here to help you with that too. We're just talking about the Nicholas Endowment that funds programs that help college students, K through 12, and the community at large. And so Dan Stetson is the executive director of that organization. He loves to come and see the programs that they funded in action. So he likes to do that every year. Oh, we set that up. Let's see. Also, sometimes you will be invited by a foundation to go present over there, wherever they are, New York, Chicago, doesn't matter. We can help you develop your briefing materials for that. We can help put all of those things together. So just let us know. Okay, so everything is working fine. We submit the grant and that's it, right? Not necessarily. We keep our fingers crossed that you will award the funds, right? But if it is helpful to you, we can continue the relationship with the funder, okay, past the submission stage. And that means we communicate with the funders on existing and future funding opportunities. Okay, so let's say you didn't get it this year. We'll still be in touch with the foundation. We'll still be gathering information from you for next year because maybe you will qualify next year, okay? Another thing is that when you are awarded a grant, you know that we have those pesky reporting requirements, 6 months or a year afterwards. We can help you remember the dates for those. We can help you put together your final reports. And then if you don't have time, we can submit them. So our relationship with you doesn't end just when we hit submit to the grant. We can keep it going. And once we know you and you're kind of in our internal database, we'll be able to keep you apprised of opportunities as they happen, even if you're not working on something right now. It's like, hey, this looks like your work, what do you think? We'll continue doing that. Okay, so how can we best partner with you? That's a bunch of things that we can do for you right there. We're here to understand your funding needs, your school's funding needs, and UNIS funding, and then identify funding to match those needs. We hold workshops in conjunction, we can do it with BLI. We did that actually when American Radio Commercial Association came out. It was a site visit, but it was also kind of a workshop in that we gathered many researchers from throughout BLI to come in and interview with, I think it was her name, Miss Costello, I think was her last name, right? I forgot the first name. To interview with her, talk about your projects, take her temperature, give us something that ABTA might want to fund. Beyond that, if we have a major, like Chan Zuckerberg, any other major grant coming through, or ABTA, and there are a lot of faculty members that are not familiar but are interested in funding, we can hold a workshop that ticks all the boxes. This is what you need to do, this is who you need to talk to, this is what the template looks like, all of that. We can do that for you too. Let's see. And you'll need, one thing I forgot to mention, you'll probably need signatures from the dean, that kind of thing, and you can help obtain those signatures too. And let's see, so Pivot. This one provides deadline-based global funding opportunities. It is a giant database of all the requests for proposals in the world. It is huge. Again, you can access it through UCI Office of Research or the library's websites. Set up your own profile. I very much encourage you to do that. And then go in, type your keywords, look up opportunities that align with your research, save them, save your search so you can alter it later. And then track it, get weekly updates, that kind of thing. The history of Pivot is it began focusing on the hard sciences only, but it has since expanded. I mean, you can find grants from Switzerland, Denmark, it's just crazy. Let's see, and you can also use it, once you get in there, one of the cool features of Pivot is collaborators. One of the sidebars is you can track collaborators from other universities who have work that aligns with the RFP we're looking at, or who have actually applied in the past. So that's kind of an interesting feature. Let's see. One of the services that I provide with Pivot, if you would like to have some hands-on training or just to kind of walk through it, see what the dashboard looks like, that kind of thing, call me, email me. I will do a Zoom with you for about an hour. We'll set up your profile. I'll show you the best ways to utilize those keywords in your search, and then how to save and all those kind of things. So you don't have to go from home. Just let me know. I'm really happy to help, especially with Pivot, because it's such an amazing tool. And so I'm almost at the end here. So what has your experience been with grant funding while at UCI? Anybody, what were the parts? The most difficult parts about submitting grants? Does anybody? Yeah, go ahead.
The most difficult part for me is in the back end. The time between getting the award letter and getting the funds released to me can be ridiculously long.
Thank you. You bring up a really good
That's almost 3 months.
Yeah, and that's because it was backed up in Finance Office of Research. Something
No
like
idea. Yeah, somewhere in the ether.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry, what's your name?
I'm Elliot Botvinnik.
Oh, hi, Elliot. Okay, so we help with that too. Don't let that get out too much, okay? Because there are a lot of tactical maneuvering that goes on, okay, behind the scenes, either at Office of Research or with your own finance department, okay? Just getting the check is not enough. We have to ensure that, okay, did it actually get deposited and which fund did it go to, that kind of thing. It shouldn't take 3 months. Okay, it shouldn't. My advice to any of the people that I work with who run into problems like that, tell me that I haven't got my check, it's been a month. Tell me, because then I'll go in the back end and find out what happened to it. I'm telling you, I don't know which foundation it was for, but recently, well, in the last year, we had a $1 million check. It was mailed. That's kind of weird, right? But it was mailed to Office of Research because it was a grant. 8 months later, the foundation notifies us and says, we still have that check open, didn't you get it? Well, what happened? The program didn't come back and ask for it. The foundation is telling me. So my colleague Heather Dressler, Heather was the one doing the back end work. What happened to this check? Where did it go? So in the meantime, because Office of Research couldn't find it, we had to go back and ask for the foundation to issue a new one, which is kind of embarrassing. We don't want to do that, but we had to. And then I don't remember the outcome, if they actually located the check or not, doesn't matter. But we don't want that to happen. So if you find something weird and you're not getting the answers from your finance analyst or from Office of Research, let us know. I'm not guaranteeing I'm going to have an answer for you tomorrow, but I'll look into it and see what happens. Because, yeah, I mean, even though that, once we submit the grant, that's our involvement right there, it really isn't. You know, you need to get your money, or you need to know what happened with something along the line. So that was a very good question.
Appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Anybody else have anything they want to share about their experiences with funding here? Good ones, bad ones? Yes.
I just had a question. How can we sitting on this review panel for foundation? Because I'm sitting on the edge panel and I understand how it works, but I never had experiences sitting on this foundation panel. So how can we sit in there?
So, right, okay, to be a member of a panel on a private foundation, or to be, okay. So private and corporate foundations already have their panels kind of set up. I've never actually heard of a faculty member being involved unless they became a board member of the foundation. And then that's when I really want to talk to you, right? Because you're the guy with the in. So yeah, NIH functions so much different. The government agencies function so much differently than the private foundations in that they want you on their panel, right? They want you on the subcommittee or the reviewing committee, those kinds of things, right? Not so much so with the private and corporate foundations.
Yes. So that's the problem, because we don't understand how they look at the grants. So every time I had a couple of attempts, but never get funded, but never got a feedback. And
Oh, yes, may I ask who the attempts were?
I forgot it's some kind of a tumor cancer foundation.
I mean, there's a lot, brain, what is it, BBRF, there's ABTA, there's, yeah, okay.
I actually serve on the Moore Foundation, and Chang Zuckerberg got reviewed for that also, so. I don't know how I got on there.
No, that's perfect, so.
Maybe we should invite.
That's what I was going to say, this is where networking with your colleagues, really works out. So, yeah, good point. But also, you raise another point. Government agencies are required to give you feedback, right? Not so much private work. Some of them will, okay? And some of them, like for me with Nicholas Endowment, okay? I have a good relationship with the board and with the executive director. So if you're like, I don't understand why this wasn't, granted, I can go to them and say, can you just tell me what the problem was? I'm not going to tell you who said it, but I'll give you the feedback there. But yes, most of the big ones will not give you feedback. Some of the smaller ones do, like for pediatrics, for example, who gave us feedback? Thrasher Foundation gave us feedback on a concept paper. We had a meeting it was one of those meetings where you could talk with a representative from there. And they had read the concept paper. They gave it to you line by line. It doesn't fit this, it might be better next year. We have to do X, Y, and Z to bring it to that level. So, but yeah, that's just in general. You can always ask us if we can find out, and we'll try.
Do you have a handle on, some of these granting agencies are more interested in the scientific part and the details, and others are more interested in the more humanistic whatever?
That's correct.
And would you know, given a certain agency, which that is? Are their board members more technical, or are they more into, the results, the impact of the work? And can you advise maybe people who apply for those grants to write them, emphasizing more one than the other?
Yes, most of the time we can. Oftentimes, we have relationships like with MURA, okay, or KEC. Roxanne is very good with KEC Foundation, okay? Where, we can get that individualized information from them because of the relationship. I'm not saying we have that with everybody, but there are certain funders that we do. So that would be easy. Most of the time, though, we're able to look at the board list, the board members list, or who their staff is online, which anybody can do. We can go to the website and look. And kind of determine where those, their funding priorities might lie, or what their board members who are probably going to be reviewing their application, what they're really going to be looking for. That helps. But most of the time, we're going to go by the guidelines set in the RFP. So there are some foundations that have multiple areas that they fund, and I think MURA is one of them, right? So if you're a grant, research doesn't support one area, there might be another area. We just got to make sure that you go to the right portal and apply on the right one. But yeah, we're really by the guidelines, okay? Well, that's part of what we would do in the editing and advising process. I like to go through with the guidelines on one hand and your proposal on the other and say, this meets the guidelines, this doesn't. Or can you expand on this? Or don't forget that they're looking at this focus also, where is that? We'll tell you that.
Yes, several faculty here is doing research on women's health.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of federal agencies also interested in this area.
Yes, very much.
We have a project essentially looked at laser treatment of gynecological symptoms of menopause.
Yes.
And we are actively recruiting patients. And so we're interested in like organize a workshop, both as a recruitment opportunity, but also as a fundraising opportunity, and how your office can help.
So would you have a foundation in mind already that you would like to do? Or
Probably more from private, individual person rather than foundation.
oh, okay. So if it's
Even, we do cold calls or we'll do cold emails and we'll follow up. We really want to help with the relationship. So if there's someone you want to reach out to, we did that with NF1. We hadn't worked with NF1 organizations before, but we had emailed them, we followed up and finally got an answer. So we were really focused on what your keywords are and then trying to help with that relationship. So beyond just submitting a proposal or anything, we want to go a step above that and try to build that relationship. So we can work on that, definitely.
For your particular condition you're talking about, is there a patient advocacy group?
The group, anyone at menopause stage, right?
That's very general, affect all those areas.
Affect 30% of all population.
Yeah. So our experience with the neurofibromatosis type 1, there are strong patient advocacy groups. They work with Congress, they work with researchers. They do presentation pretty much every month. You can join their presentations to reach patients for recruitment.
So how your office can help us to?
Meeting and
let's kind of refine some of the needs, what you're looking for from our office, and I'm glad to talk with you about it. Thank you for bringing up two separate points though, because yours is rather general, which actually I like to do more general funding searches because it's like an umbrella and you find things that if you narrow it down too much, you wouldn't be able to locate it before either. But you're right, the NF1 was pretty specific. I mean, there's no generality about that whatsoever. And it's difficult to find those kinds of foundations because it's so new, there's so much that isn't known. And we just knocked down that door, we got an answer, if you ever want to revisit it, let me know because
we will.
Yeah, when you're ready. And that's the other thing. I'm not going to push you to do something if your project isn't ready or you're not ready to do it either. I'm just there to facilitate. But yeah, so let me know or let Gabby know. We'll set up a meeting and we'll find out what parameters you're looking at and then see how we can be of service if we can at that stage.
I think, Roberta thinks in the past, I don't know if you've ever met with Roberta before.
She doesn't.
Okay, some new things, but she'll set up a meeting just with you where you can kind of talk about your research and she'll pull keywords out of it
Yes.
and then help you search or do some searches for you
Yeah.
for that. So you can set that up, which is terrific with her.
And like, as I said before, I'm perfectly happy to run this funding search for you and get it back to you. And if you find something you want to apply for, and you don't need my help, great. Just let me know when you submit it, so I can track to make sure that you don't lose the check for 6 months. Or, you know, at least you can call me and say, I never got it. Okay, let me see what I can do, right?
May I take some things? May I take some comments one step further?
Yes.
I'm not sure by the end of time to discuss this Center of Excellence. But we are now looking into this project. The market is full with handheld devices, unlike the project which we are doing due to later. And there are about 10 companies around that are selling handheld devices with very little science and with some of them, excuse my comment, but some of them are charlatans. And I think that this is a perfect example how BLI, with all the technologies that Zongping's team is developing with the OCT and the OCT angiography and OCT elastography, we can be the site of assessment of all these devices, who is doing really something with science, who is better than whom, what can be done scientifically, how this stands vis-a-vis the gold standard of estrogen, and so on and so forth. And I can give you 20 minutes presentation only as an introduction. And this is a perfect example how we can join with industries, be it bigger or smaller. Some of those are small and not sufficient money or not enough money in order to sponsor a major study. But if we create such a database, and the market is huge, and the interest, as Zongping said, about 30% of the women are menopausal. This is a perfect example about a collaboration, and I really hope that by the end of the meeting, we'll have that's why Zongping and myself asked to bring that at the end of the presentation today, without knowing that this presentation will be the introduction of this faculty meeting. But if we'll have some time by the end, we can give you, or in a separate meeting that will be dedicated to that. This is a perfect example for such a collaboration with what you just presented.
Yeah.
If you have any other questions, or if you want to talk about it further, let Gabby know, and then I'm happy to discuss more with you if you'd like.
Yeah, you know, I think this is probably better for a separate conversation, just to give it the time it deserves. I think, yeah, I don't think.
Because we could probably talk about this for
Yeah.
another hour.
Exactly, so I think it's but yeah, it's obviously an important topic, so
Yes,
I don't want to shortchange it.
thank you. For
I got a quick question, Roberta. So, just with you guys saying that you guys help assist with proposal development. Do you guys have a KR and you guys can work with SPA and get everything submitted through them?
Yeah, a good question. Thank you for that. We don't upload to KR. So that would be your finance analyst or whoever you're working with that has to be able to do that. We will let you know of the deadlines, you know, so like the sponsor deadline is one thing, but sponsored projects wants to have at least the budget and the preliminary draft uploaded to KR 1 week before the sponsor deadline. So we make sure you kind of meet that deadline. We can work with your finance analysts, or at least kind of email them to let them know that it's coming up for them to do that. But yeah, we don't do the KR upload or any of that. What I do with my folks is I notify the sponsored projects officer ahead of time when we're just getting started and we're intending to apply, to let them know that it's going to happen. So that they're not like, why am I getting this, you know, so that kind of thing. But yeah, we don't do the
I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is your thing, but I'm just putting two and two together in my head. I'm an assistant professor, so I'm fairly new. But in the past, I've seen a lot of things where there are competitive proposals for, I think, like you mentioned, you ask their inputs, and then we'll put forward a 1-page or 2-page thing.
Exactly.
And then one of them gets selected. Seems to me like that's very opaque to me. I don't understand how that happens. I don't understand how the decision is made. And if there's things that I'm writing which is no good or somehow doesn't fit, I don't see any feedback on that. But are you able to give feedback for that, or is it in your bag?
Yes, as I said, Roxanne Ford, our executive director, is the expert on KEC.
Right.
So we do, I'm sorry. Sorry. I know, my gosh, it's terrible.
We'll get you water.
Oh, sorry about that. We do KEC workshops. I think, since I really don't work with KEC that much, I'm not very certain of the invitation process or anything like that, but if you're interested, the next time we have a KEC workshop, I'll let you know.
Okay, brilliant, yeah.
Because what happens is Roxanne will come in and say, we're looking for this, they're looking for that. She is actually in touch with one of the board members or staff members over there, so we kind of find out what's going on this year or those kinds of things. But if you're interested in doing that, then I can also have you talk with her, or we can schedule a meeting or something like that. Because Roxanne is very thorough. She will evaluate your proposal beforehand. And then if you got invited, then, we'll help you through the practice talk and all of those kind of things. So we will provide you feedback on your proposal based on what we know on KEC and what they're looking for this year, which doesn't really change that much, but yeah. Again, asking for it from the foundation ahead of time, no, actually, some foundations will not talk to us once the grant cycle opens. So we can't even ask questions unless it's about the website or the online application portal. So, as I said, very different from government agencies, I know. And the other thing is the government agencies pay you a lot of money. We're looking multi-million dollars, right? Unless it's a Chan Zuckerberg, there are foundations that usually give, like APTA was gonna give what, 300,000 we were asking, I think, something like that, which is still good. But compared to an NIH at 1.5 for 3 years, guaranteed, I understand.
No, it's just sort of, because, I write it how I think would be best to present it, but maybe you guys don't feel that the way I presented it was a very good way of doing it, because you have some knowledge that I don't. So it's always great to get some sort of feedback, you did a terrible job, or you didn't do this well, or you did that well, but not this.
And that's why stay in contact with us, because that's what we do. We're gonna tell you, especially me, well, it's not fitting the guidelines.
Yeah.
You may say, but I see it this way, and it's like, but I think they're gonna see it this way. Ultimately, it's your decision to make. We're just there to kind of, provide insight and,
Right.
that kind of thing, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Roberta.
Thank you so much.